Never would have paid it. I never would have paid it. It's hilarious. This situation with Marvin Sapp is blown out of proportion, and I'm going to tell you why. First, my background, I went to church nearly 3 to 5 times a week. I'm a PK, and so I understand what's happening. I want to talk about this with you guys because I think a lot of people are reading the headline and just it's getting blown out of proportion. But once you see the video, you'll understand what's happening. Now, what some folks are saying is that he was hustling his congregation. He strong armed them. He was aggressive and manipulative. And to be honest with you, this is what you experience when you go to church. Churches run off of donations largely, and they are a business. Your church is a business. Once you understand that your church is a business and it's funded by you, and what other industries or businesses the business of church can create for itself, that is how the church pays for itself. You pay for the church. You are essentially funding the church. You have more of a say and more influence than you actually realize. And it's interesting because preachers don't want you to know that. But let's get back to what's going on. So Marvin Sapp, he is a renowned gospel singer. He's a pastor. There's a major controversial take for some videos that went viral in the past couple of days where they basically said that he held his congregation hostage until they raised $40,000 in donations. Now, I'll talk you through it, and then I'll have you watch the video because I don't believe that it's as egregious as it sounds. Now, in the video, you'll see that he asked his congregation, both in person and online, for $40,000. And I don't think they specify what it's for, but my assumption is they might have a building fund or there's some sort of effort that they need to fund. And this is what they do every week. And the song, the dance, the worship, the preaching, all of this is designed, honestly, to get you to contribute. That is my perception. The better they do at the worship, at touching your heart, at helping you with whatever it is that you bring to the church, whether you are there for healing, for understanding, for soothing, for forgiveness, whatever people bring to the church, if they feel like they have received that thing, then they're going to be much more likely to share, which would be in the tithes and offerings pretty much. On top of tithes and offerings, a lot of times you have other types of things that need to be funded, like buildings need to be paid for, bills need to be paid. There are missions, there are efforts, there are ministries, all types of things that need to be funded. These things never stop. And it's crazy because sometimes they make it seem like we got this one more thing we need, one more thing. And if you just do it one more time, this is all in an effort to finesse you out of your money. But they need to, they have to. They do, because their doors would be closing. So anyway, long story short, speaking of doors closing, he instructs the ushers to close the doors. And he said until the offering is completed, he downplays that anybody needing to go anywhere, saying y'all just going to go out to eat anyway. So let's go ahead and focus on this. Now, it sounds crazy, I know, but when you watch it, if you've ever been to a Baptist church or a church where there is a black pastor or a large black population, you've been in one of these hostage situations. Let's watch the video.
Understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I just think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Melinda P. Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get one soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap. That's swag. I was looking in her eyes. She's looking in mine. Can't do that no more. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. I got you. Let's see. So put your 20 away, preachers. That 20 wasn't for you. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm going to have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on the bucket.
I've been in situations far more aggressive than this.
Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. This ain't the time to talk. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. This is an easy miracle. We should be able to raise $40,000 tonight just from y'all giving. That's it.
So let's go through the comments. And this is a common debate within the church community. A lot of people feel pressure to give. A lot of people feel a pressure to give a certain dollar amount. There are a lot of times where the church, let's call them management, the leadership will try to guilt you into giving a certain amount because you will receive it in an amplified way, 5-fold, 10-fold, 20-fold, whatever. And this is reminiscent, I think, of what's his name, Shawnee's husband, because Shawnee's husband was talking about when you give to poor people, you don't get it back, but giving it to the church, you'll get it back, which I thought was like, I've never heard anybody say that before. But I wanted to show you this quote right here where this person said they were quoting Corinthians, saying that 9:7, that each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And Marvin is in the wrong, girl. That's why I don't go to church. And I will be honest with you, like, it's rare that people are cheerful givers. A lot of people are struggling in these communities. They are giving as much as they can because they do feel like they're going to get some good favor. Like, that is, especially when life is hard, you are going to think twice about passing that bucket or sending the Cash App nowadays, because you're thinking about making the right decisions on the receiving end of making a wrong decision. So if you're like in a financial bind and you believe what your pastor is telling you that you need to give because you're going to receive that back and then some in favor with the Lord, then you feel almost emotionally blackmailed to do it. You kind of feel like, if I don't do it, or maybe I should do it because maybe things will be better. And they manipulate a lot of people into giving because they kind of have to, because people don't necessarily want to. A lot of people just don't want to spend the money. They don't have it. They don't want to. And there are folks that feel like, well, where is it going? and you've got this fancy car, this nice watch on, those Jordans or whatever, and we've seen tons of people abuse the situation where they're getting more than their fair share, right? So this person said, I promise I would have called the police and screamed, I'm being kidnapped. This is insane. I watched the full video. He told them to shut up. Black people, we got to do better. Shut the doors. No mother effing way. I've sit there and be pimped and played. He's a hustler and not the second coming. Close the doors is wild. Be a pastor. Never would have paid it. Hysterical. Never would have paid it is diabolical. Oh my gosh. Except what you're describing is not at all what happened. You're a liar. So this person did not like that this person clipped this video and made it seem like it was more egregious than it was. This is trifling, but also a shame if 1,500... I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. This is trifling. And also a shame if 1,500 folks could not come up with the less than 30 apiece. Just goes to show how much a church probably clears in a Sunday. This is why Kirk Franklin said F church. Did he? Never would have paid it. That's funny. I remember him being very money hungry and worried about cashing in on tithes rather than doing it in the name of. Open them doors up, Marvin. Okay, so it is what it is. Never would have paid it. It's hysterical. I honestly feel like this is what pastors do. I've been in situations far more aggressive. They didn't say close the doors. They didn't downplay where we were going, but they most definitely strong-armed us. Like, they extended that period where you're interceding and they're talking, trying to butter you up to get. He's just like, come on, man. Like, we ready to go. Like, okay, what do I need to do to get out of here? So I've seen them weigh on people, and they do that. And I think in some ways they do it because it works. You have to understand this community to understand what happened. It is a manipulation of sorts. Absolutely. And we all manipulate in ways. I think the true essence of manipulation, like in a negative sense, is if he was doing something crazy with the money. Like, say he took all this money and we saw him in Africa in a gold outfit, like, it's like, oh, you needed somebody to pay for the trip, which is probably what's happening anytime you see him do anything. You guys are definitely paying for it. But if it felt like the sense of urgency was because this money was going to be used for something else, then I definitely see why people would be upset. But if you have not been a part of a church community, if you didn't grow up in the church, you don't go to one of these kind of churches, then this feels like a violation of your civil rights. And I'm going to sit here and call BS because it's not. And you could have got up and left. He probably would have called you out. And because that's what they do. Because people move in a kind of, people in groups kind of have a hive mind, and they close the doors because some people do leave when there is a tithe, an offering session, because they don't want to give, and or that could be a prolonging of the experience. And so it's like, I came here to watch the preachers preach. I don't want to sit through the prayer, the altar calls, all that stuff, and the giving part. And you're well within your rights to leave whenever you want to. And at times they do try to strong arm you, because when you leave, they claim that you could be interfering with somebody's communication with the spirits or whatever, right? And somebody else can say that better in the comments than I, because that is not my ministry, pun intended. But I mean, having grown up, like, I've seen all the things. So they don't want you to leave because you could you can implant an idea. Well, that person's leaving. Well, I want to leave too. And then people just start to kind of move around. People want to do things often, but in groups, they don't want to upset the flow and they don't want to be called out. So I can see why they say close the doors. Close the doors means if you are the type of person that gets easily embarrassed, you're not going to get up and try to walk out. Now, somebody like me would probably, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk to the door and I'm going to smile and I'm going to wait for them to open the door. And if he says something to me, I'm going to go ahead and wave and I'm going to keep on. And then you're going to have to, at that point, going to have to sit here and tell me how I can get out. And then that's the point where I'm going to sit here and call the police or call the fire department or something like that. Like, that's how we'll do it on my end. Because if I got to go, I got to go. But a lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people would just sit there and just wait because they don't want to be embarrassed and they don't want to offend their pastor. And I mean, as you can see, they've got like a VIP section. All those people sitting up there are pastors, all of them. You have that much leadership at your church and those people pay for those seats, yet and still you still need 40,000. A lot of these churches, churches where you have a celebrity pastor or you have a huge congregation, they have members that are wealthy. Why can't so and so take this time when you've got all these layoffs, a potential recession, and all that's happening? I'm pretty sure that the donations are down, and creating this semi-hostile environment is not making anybody feel better. I don't think anybody felt relief if you felt coerced into paying. And that would be the thing that I would say for this newer generation of people who really want to woo people to come back to the church, is that we have to stop shaming people, shaming Black people to get them to do what we want them to do. We need to stop gaslighting our own people to get them to do what we want to do. And we need to also start trying to raise the vibration of our congregation. I think that a lot of churches benefited from the ignorance of our ancestors, our parents, our older, and especially our grandparents and great grandparents. A lot of them, especially if you're from the South, had limited education. And this was the only place that they had that was soothing to them. A lot of them bought into the hype that I may not get my heaven now, but I'll get it when I leave this earth. And that came largely from the church. I won't even get into colonialism and why that was effective, but it's still very effective to this day. It's something that we teach to one another. But I would challenge the modern Black church to not insult the intelligence of its members. And we know y'all got bills. We know you got bills. There needs to be more transparency on where the money goes, and some sort of there should be programs. And I understand when you donate to a church, I believe you might be able to claim that as a charitable donation, but I still think that there are ways that people who do have it to give can benefit even greater beyond a charitable donation. Like, make it worth people's while. Offer people ownership. Like, there's other things that can be done to encourage those who want to give, that can give, to do that without strong arming people. They damn near hold you hostage when you go to some of these churches, and they emotionally exhaust you to the point where you give almost to buy your freedom so that you can leave. I've been in situations like that where it's like, it's hot, it's miserable. Like, we got to pray. Oh, what? And can we just go? Like, people be ready to throw the money in the bucket so they can leave, right? And you get trained that once the money hits the bucket, the service is over. So over time, you're just like, just bring the buckets out. Just bring out the buckets so we can go. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. This is, How do we fix this? How do we fix this for the next generation? How could he have handled this situation better? Never would have paid it. I never would have paid it. It's hilarious.